Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. You know, we talk college football all the time, like 24/7, 365. It's each and every day. It's every night. We bring on the best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers in the industry. So what you need to do is please like, comment, subscribe. Even if you don't like the videos, even if you don't like what I have to say, you got to admit that we do it like nobody else when it comes to college football coverage across the country. And if you don't like my opinion, I'm sure I've got a number of broadcasters, writers, and bloggers that you want to hear from, including Talking Miami Football with Dwayne Holloway. He is the wholesome one. Join him on Twitter. Join him on YouTube. He is the wholesome one. And I will shut up for just a second to let him give you the U sign.
Yes, sir. It's all about that orange and green.
Okay. We appreciate the wholesome one joining us on a regular basis here at Mark Rogers TV. Where can they find you, Dwayne?
They can find me on Twitter at Holloway _number 52. You can also find me on Instagram as the great _Holloway and on YouTube as the wholesome one, which is HOLSUM, the number 1, Holloway, HOLLOWAY, representing the U family.
All right. And one more time, please like, comment, and subscribe. It keeps the engine rolling here at Mark Rogers TV as we bring you the best in college football content. We just talked Georgia and Florida State tonight. I know that's a bad word around Dwayne here, but yeah, we talked some Seminoles in the 8 o'clock hour with James Coleman. So please check out those videos as well. Got to keep track of those rivals. All right, Dwayne, unfortunately, we've got some bad news out of camp earlier today concerning a very good player, a potentially good player, but certainly a very iconic name in Miami circles.
Yes, we actually have the playmaker's son, Michael Irvin II, went down this morning with an MCL tear. It is a very tough situation for us because we have 2 of the top 5 tight ends that we signed this year in Brevin Jordan and Will Mallory, because the tight end depth did dwindle. But at the same time, one thing about playing football, you cannot never replace actually experiencing playing football. And Michael Irvin II was, according to all of the coaches, ready to turn that corner. And they were really hurt to see a guy like that go down. But we're finally at the point where it can be a next man up mentality. And he's been positive about it. And he's actually been helping Brevin Jordan and Will Mallory and Brian Polindo in practice and really pushing those guys. And it takes a good man to be able to accept that, hey, this thing have happened to me, but I can help you all by helping the team, learn the playbook, learn the plays and where you're supposed to be. So that was pretty tough this morning.
So as you say, Dwayne, this looks to be like a 3 or 4 month process. So we're looking at, December. We're looking at basically wasting a season right there. Maybe he gets to play if he has a really speedy recovery. November, maybe he gets in a few games, especially with the redshirt rule being what it is now, that helps out a situation like this.
Right. I'm thinking more along the lines of the ACC championship game against Clemson, or maybe even the Pitt game and our big bowl game, whatever it'll be, after our 11+ win season. So
11+.
That's where I would think that he'll be able to impact the team. But I think a guy like that will accept it, accept the medical red shirt, and kind of move forward, moving into next year.
Don't think it matters this time of year where you are in America. For the most part, you're in heat and humidity. Even up here in Connecticut in the Northeast, it was like 99 a couple days ago. It was about 90 today and plenty humid. They're used to that down in Miami, but still people trying to escape the heat, and even the football players getting a nice little shiny indoor practice facility. So let us know the ins and outs of that one.
Oh, man. Well, everyone's going to get on here and say theirs is, state of the art and they're brand new, but ours is actually brand spanking new, the newest one. But we are also one of the last Power 5 schools to not have an indoor facility. And some people might even look at that as, you guys were the U, now you're just kind of Miami and things have fallen off. But at the end of the day, we're building something. And, we got Hard Rock Stadium, new renovations there. We got a 10-year contract there. Have the indoor practice facility, and we just had our top 10 win season and finished in the top 50 season, top 10 poll since 2004. So everything is projecting forward for the University of Miami. And this indoor practice facility is beautiful. It connects to the weight room and the outside practice field. So they don't even have to jog to get in and off of both fields and we'll be able to conduct practices at, whatever time we want to conduct the practice, having it indoors and not having to be affected by lightning, or rain usually doesn't stop our practices being from South Florida, but lightning is what usually stops our practices. So we can cut that out and be able to, take some more steps forward for the program.
The Canes are front and center here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football, here tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern time with Dwayne Holloway. He is the Wholesome One. Check him out on YouTube, Twitter, also on Instagram as well. We're talking up the Canes tonight and enjoying seeing a number of people join the live stream and join the chat. So I will be checking out the chat to see what's on there. If there's anything you'd like to pass along to the Wholesome One in regards to any comments or questions, certainly do so, as we are just 24 days away from college football. And we're all excited to know that. Please like, comment, and subscribe here to Mark Rogers TV. If you're coming across my channel for the first time, all you have to do is look through the video list and then check out the videos, and you see that we cover college football like no one else and get you set for 2018. I'm in the middle of my schedule rankings. I'm trying to think where I had Miami at 51 in the nation. So I'm down to about 25. I've got to release the rest of those. And then I'm going to come back with my next series is going to be, and I'm going to have to just speed through this like a laser over the last couple of weeks. I'm going to do all the 68 Power Fives, their preview and a prediction video on all those. So we'll get through them. All right, Dwayne, we appreciate you stopping by. Let's talk the Canes on the field here with Malik Rozier at quarterback. Now, following his rough 3-game stretch to conclude 2017, most Canes fans were thinking, okay, this is it for this guy. We've got 2 premier prospects waiting in the wings. One of those guys has to beat him out. But the further we've gone through workouts and then spring camp and now the summer drills, and now that we're on the field for the real deal for fall camp, it just appears as though he's hanging on to his job.
Yes, he is. And I am so excited because I called this months ago. I said, I know from personal experience, they're having a young guy behind you that everyone else wants to see out there. And you're the older guy that has to prove there's a reason why you were a starter and that you contributed to this team. As a redshirt senior, I truly believe Malik Rozier. And Mark Richt, listen to him in the interviews. He gets excited to talk about our program now, talk about the depth that we have, the players that we have. But when he talks about Malik Rozier, he goes back to when he won the job and says he has worked on everything I told him he needed to work on. He needed to work on making our running backs and giving our wide receivers opportunities to catch the ball in open field and run with the football. Not just throw it right on a dime. Lead him if you have to, sweet this guy. He's even worked on his motion, pulling in his motion instead of having a wild baseball motion. He's bringing it in some more, making sure we're working on our footwork, toning our shoulders. Now, these are things that every coach, if you watch college football, if you follow college football, every coach gets up there and swears their players the best, and they've done all these things to become great. But over years, I really that. And when he says that Malik has done these things, the stretch that we had last year, and when you go back and watch the game, everybody can critique him and say, well, he should have did this, he should have did that. At the end of the day, he won 10 games. He beat a rival in their stadium. So these are things that we as Kane fans haven't seen in a while. And we have to be behind him, because having confidence as a football player that the fan base is behind you, that the coaching staff is behind you, you really play to a different level. I would think that's going on, but this is Kane talk. But I know for a fact when you have the confidence in yourself that everyone is backing you, you will play even better. And I think that us as Canes fans need to get behind Malik Rozier, because he's our guy. And this is his last run, and he can really take us to high heights.
Salty Fowler is not on board with you. He is citing Malik Rozier's career completion percentage with his 53.6. Not real strong. Also saying a serviceable quarterback gives us a chance to challenge Clemson this season. However, no way we can win the ACC with him back there.
And he has points. He's bringing facts, statistics to the table. I completely understand. One thing we can't have numerically is a man's heart. And the last time he was tested, and Mark Richt told him that you would never play for me. Never play for me, because you don't know how to check the ball down. You don't know how to throw it to the right receiver. He won the job out and beat N'Kosi Perry the first time. Now we're coming again, and everybody's back in N'Kosi Perry. And I'm not slandering him. I love N'Kosi. Please don't transfer. I love you, N'Kosi. And Malik has actually won the job again. But the good part about Mark Richt saying that, Malik was the guy this early is that he gives the opportunity of the guys behind him. Hey, he's the leader. Now get after him for the next two and actually have a chance to beat him out. Instead of leaving it up in the air and no one knows where they're placed at. Now he's saying, go after him. He's the number one guy. If you string together 5, 6, 7, you'll be the number one guy. He's bringing competition at every position. And that's another thing I'm really excited about our program.
Got the Wholesome One on the line talking Miami football. He is Dwayne Holloway, and join him on Twitter, Instagram, and right here on YouTube, the Wholesome One, as he talks Miami football all the time, and he knows his stuff, no question, or he wouldn't be here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And for anybody that I see here on the live stream, and it's a few people that I see for the first time, please check out the videos and subscribe, like, and comment. Let me know if maybe you've been undercover, maybe you've been stealth and watching Mark Rogers TV. I hear this a lot when I see somebody commenting for the first time, and I'm like, welcome. They said, oh, I've been watching you for a year. Well, just let me know how long you've been watching. So while we've got the live chat up here, want to have anybody who wants to jump in, let us know what you think Miami's record is going to be this year. Give me a record prediction in the live chat, and we'll see what you got there. A number of people commenting, Lawrence, on Lawrence Cager here. Lawrence Cager being a potential number 2 wide receiver. Your thoughts about Cager?
Oh, my God. I think they're doing that because they know me and Cager have a love-hate relationship.
Okay.
I'll allude to the reason why. In my previous videos, I've been very, very, very critical of Lawrence Cager. Reason is, though, you're 6'4.5", 6'5". He's listed at 6'5", so he's really like 6'4.25", maybe. But 6'4", 6'5", 225, can run out of the gym, jump out of the gym, run 40s fast. At the end of the day, catch the football. At the end of the day, make plays that I know that you can make as a player for us. Just like Daryl Langham, a guy who gets maybe like 2 receptions a game, if that. He goes out there, uses his body, catches the ball. That's, to me, what 6'5" guys are supposed to do. And he hadn't done it yet. Towards the end, he did turn the corner towards the end of the season, and he is coming off of an ACL injury in 2016. So he's getting his confidence together. And I've kind of dialed back on it because I watched the film and understood that coming off an injury, you have to have confidence in your body again, especially putting weight on that leg and playing without a brace and things of that nature. So I'm excited to see if he really is going to turn that corner going into this season, because he has all of the measurables to be a monster of a man out there on the field. And I think he's going to turn the corner this year. But yeah, I have to swallow my pride on that one. I have been very, very, very critical of Lawrence Cager, but I think he'll turn the corner this year.
We've got the Wholesome One on the line talking Miami football, and we've got records on the live chat from Ghost 3051, 10-2. DeQuandre Miller says 13-1. Salid Bashir, Miami 13-1. It's got Malik for Heisman. Are we going to go that far? Wholesome One, Malik for the Heisman.
Is that Universal Empire saying that? Malik for Heisman? Is that the one who commented that?
Let's see. We got Salid Bashir.
Oh, yeah. Shalib, yeah, he comments under my stuff a lot. I don't know if I'll go as far, but we definitely have the talent around him. I mean, we just had a 2-time walk-on win the Heisman. If we're being honest, I mean, we don't run an Oklahoma offense. We have the talent to, and we probably could average 42 points if we did. But I don't know if I want to go as far to say Malik Rozier for Heisman, but he definitely will have another 11-plus win. He'll have an 11-plus win season.
Kid goes with 10-2. Country Boy says 9-3. Wit Malik back there. 9-3.
Wow.
Well,
Country Boy really doesn't like Malik.
Could lose to Florida State, right?
Yeah,
could
you're
lose
right.
to LSU. Could lose to Virginia Tech. You could.
And don't forget
could lose to Boston College.
Yeah.
So it could happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I don't know. I haven't made my predictions yet, so I'm still doing some research here. All right, folks, this is the place to be. We got Lamar on the line. We got Country Boy. We got Al Johnson saying hi to the Wholesome One here as well. We're talking Miami football with Dwayne Holloway. He's the Wholesome One. You got to join him on YouTube where he talks nothing but Canes. And what do you want to hear out of fall practice? What's going to make you feel even better about this team? I'm not going to say make you feel good about this team. You already feel good about the Canes. What's going to make you feel better? What do you need to see?
I need to see actually, I heard Manny Diaz. There's two coaches that I like to listen to have their post-practice interviews. Thomas Brown, our offensive coordinator, and Manny Diaz, our defensive coordinator. Reason being is those guys don't hold back. If a guy isn't showing up, if a guy isn't giving effort, they will put him out there. Respectfully, like they'll say something is like, well, he had a couple of loaves and we want him to turn that around. A respectful way of saying he needs to give 110 on every play. I like to hear them talk because Realist George, I'll give a story from what happened this morning, actually. Realist George is the #1 fullback that we signed in the country that we signed this previous recruiting class, And Thomas Brown, the offensive coordinator, talked about how we ran a 21 lead right up the middle. And George is used to being bigger than everybody on the field in high school. And he runs right up the middle, runs right up to Shaq Quarterman and gets flattened. Popped. And he talks about how that is the wake-up call that kids need, when you get to college. These linebackers will knock you out. But it's not about them blowing you up. It's about you getting up and saying, all right, clap your hands. Let's do it the next play. And so Thomas Brown talks about things like that and guys needing to catch the ball consistently. Offensive linemen needed to gel together. And Manny Diaz always talks about effort. So if you ask me, what do I need to hear? I need to hear that consistency. Because everyone knows we're the U, man. We got the talent, but are we going to put it together for a whole 60-minute ball game? Manny Diaz talked about earlier this week, right before we put on the pads, saying, well, there were a couple of games in October that we let some teams hang around. And we gave up a couple games. We gave up a game that we shouldn't have given up. Are we going to be able to turn the corner now in 2018 and not allow teams that shouldn't be on the field with us, aren't as good as us? Are we going to put them away early, or are we going to let them hang around? So things like that I like to hear, but I want to give it a couple more weeks. Let's see if we're still talking like that. Let's say around August 20th, August 28th, around there. Let's see if we still have the same energy when talking about our players.
So when we talk about talent, it's by far the most talented team in the division. Virginia Tech would be next, and then there's just a glut of teams all kind of bunched together: North Carolina, Pitt, Georgia Tech. In terms of talent, now people don't
Correct.
jump on me. I'm not talking about I'm predicting a record that they're all going to be the same. I'm talking about in terms of recruiting talent. We're talking like between 35 and 60 in the nation. The rest of those teams, but it's basically Miami, Virginia Tech, and there's a substantial gap there. But in terms of teams on the roster, LSU and Florida State would be the two teams in terms of talent that could challenge Miami, and to a lesser degree, there would be Virginia Tech and Boston College, and those are the games right there. Salid Bashir, we want to remind people as well that are just jumping on the line here in the last few minutes that you missed a ton of good stuff. So each and every time you join us here for a live stream, whether it's with the Wholesome One or anybody else, if you jump in late, just wait until the video processes and post. It just takes a couple minutes after we get done. Then you can catch up with the stuff that you missed at the beginning, because Salid is asking about just making a comment right here that he thinks that Gervin is the biggest sleeper on the team.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Don't put our secret out there yet.
Okay.
I like that. I like that.
Once it gets on Mark Rogers TV, Wholesome One, it's out there.
It's out there. You got an LSU guy watching this, and he's going to go to practice and say, hey, you got to watch this guy, Gervin. Oh, man.
We got what is it? BBD Will says Mark Pope and Brevin Jordan will turn the college world into the U fanatics.
I like it, man. I love our fan base when they know we have talent, man, and they know we finally have a guy there who's building a program. They are so excited. Mark Pope, watch out for that name. Mark, I want you to watch out for Mark Pope and Brevin Jordan as freshmen. They can be our, Clyde Walford, Philip Dorsett freshman combo. I don't know if you remember those guys from a couple of years ago. 12, 13, and 14, they came in together. And, towards the end, as seniors in 2014, they kind of really took a big step, NFL guys. Not much Philip Dorsett, but Clyde Walford is doing pretty good in the league. But they will be some significant players for us. And I could see both of them having maybe a touchdown or two and roughly around 300 yards because we have so much talent. So I think they'll get a couple of catches and take it to the house.
Okay, I know I've got pretty much nothing but Miami fans on the line right here. Don't know how many of you watch me on a regular basis, but we produce college football content like nobody else. So check it out. If you love college football, not just the Canes, but want to hear from Florida, Florida State, whomever else. I know you hate those teams. Virginia Tech, whomever it is, just look through the videos and you can see that we've got analysis like nobody else. I'm doing my schedule rankings. I'm up to 25 in the nation. As soon as we get done with that series, I'm going to bring you my previews and predictions on everybody in the Power Five. So please like, comment, and subscribe. It keeps us going. And I see, again, a lot of names on here. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I will not drive you nuts with notifications. Just turn those off. But we'll get it done, certainly. If you want to be on the mailing list, just send me your name to MarkRogersTV@gmail.com, and I'll get you on the mailing list that starts week 1 of the college football season with extra perspective on the college football season. All right.
Hey, Mark, before we go to the next thing, I want to bring up, you talked about in your schedule ranking, I watch every one of your videos. I don't care who it is. I watch it all the time.
Listen to that. Goodness gracious.
What'd you say?
That I appreciate that. That's a
yeah, of course.
right there. I'll take that. You have just made promos for me. So I'm going to chop this up and clip this off and make that a promo. I got the Wholesome One watching all my videos.
All of them, man. I don't care if it's Iowa State. You haven't done your group of 5 yet, but when you were talking about the Miami schedule, And you talked about how there's this gap between Miami and everyone else, but we have to think about coaching and, playing at or, away and home. When you're just a fan, you don't think about things like that. And that's why I really like the scheduling rankings, because you go in depth as to, well, Miami plays this usually we don't play at Toledo, but we play at Toledo this year. And you weren't putting us on upset alert, but you were like, who scheduled that? But whatever, and kept going. So yeah, you guys check out those schedule rankings, man. It's some really in-depth stuff, and I like it, man. I really do.
So who would have predicted Pitt to beat Miami last year and to beat Penn State and Clemson the year before? So there are going to be upsets out there. They're going to be somewhere. I don't know that I can track them down before they start playing here, but there are going to be upsets. And I hate to tell you this one, Wholesome One, but you got to respect this. So what I did last year, and people want me to do this again this year, and I'm not going to be able to do it. I just don't have time to go through all the teams and predict every game. So I'm going to give you the records and the standings for all the Power 5 leagues and predict the college football playoff and all that. But I'm not going to run through every game and predict it. So I'm going to say Miami's going to go. Don't hold me to this. I haven't released the video yet, but let's say say they're going to go 10-2. I'll give you an estimate on who they're going to beat. But I did predict them to lose to Pitt before the season started last year. I said they'd go 10-2, and I gave them the 2 losses, and one was to Pitt. But anyway, so what else do we have?
I actually remember that. The 2 losses you said that we would have was at Tallahassee and Pitt. I remember it.
Yes, and if I would have had a little bit better cornerback play there in the last 30 seconds, maybe that would have happened. But Malik made a great throw. No question about that. Great throw and catch on that one. And that was Langham, of course. Right?
Legendary Langham, baby.
It was. And it was him against Georgia Tech.
Yep.
That's a huge play.
And, the crazy part about that is 2 consecutive plays before that play.
Yep.
Well, we had Braxton Berrios on a little out route to get to, because it was 3rd and long. But on 1st and 2nd down, we threw bombs to Lawrence Cager. So we were trying to make him be the guy. And he couldn't get it done. So we, gave it a little swing route to Braxton Berrios, who had one amazing game. Love it. And then gave the fade route to legendary Langham. And he scored on a 5-star, who went undrafted. That's what they say that school produces, 5-star to undrafted university.
Oh, yeah, that's it. That's it. A little Florida State Miami talk. It's good stuff.
It's still the greatest rivalry.
So we had Lamar Stevens on here. He asked about both lines because we both know that through the rigors of an ACC season, there are going to be guys getting nicked up. So you want to be too deep along the line of scrimmage, and the offensive line has been a sore spot for you and the Noles over the last several years. So when you talk about being that fortified across both lines, do you feel comfortable with the depth along the line of scrimmage, offense and defense?
Comfortable is a tricky word there, Mark. Comfortable is
that's my job.
As a Nick Saban I love Nick Saban. My Canes may not like that, but I love Nick Saban, and he's never comfortable, even after winning the national championship. But I will say this: I am very excited for the guys that we brought on both the offensive and defensive line. I spoke about 3 weeks ago before I got here. I got up back to school at North Dakota State. I talked about we have experience at the 3 most important positions on the offensive line. We're moving Tyree St. Louis from right tackle to left tackle, which is his natural position. Played it all through high school at IMG Academy. It was actually the 4th ranked left tackle according to 24/7 Sports and ESPN. Right tackle, we have Navon Donaldson, who dropped another 25 pounds to move out to right tackle, which is what he played in high school, but he was more projected as a guard because of his footwork. And at center, Watire Gauthier. And he was actually one of the, is it the Outlander For the center, what's the award for the best center in the league?
The Outland.
In the college
The
football?
Remington is the center.
Remington, yeah. Outland is the tackles. Remington, he's actually on a Remington watch list. So it's not just us Canes fans that think Tyler Gauthier is actually really good. But we have some battles at left and right guard, which I'm very excited to see. We have Corey Gaynor at right guard, also with Scaife, Jonathan Campbell, and we also have George Brown, a couple of guys, Hayden Mahoney. We have a transfer from the University of Tennessee. His name escapes me right now. But we have those guys all battling for position at left and right guard. So that's good. At guard, you could be a little bit, less experienced at offensive guard because at tackle, you get out there against some crazy pass rushers, you can blink and give up 2.5 sacks. At guard, you really need to have your guys. They could be a little younger, as long as they're strong and can hold at the point of attack. They should be okay. And there's a lot of double teaming going on in between the two guards in the center, so we can really hide a young, inexperienced guard. As opposed to helping a tackle, you can take away from the passing attack by having to put a tight end or having to put a running back over there to help a young and inexperienced tackle. So that's okay that we have some inexperience at line at the two guard positions. Defensive line, I've finally gotten over the R.J. McIntosh and Kendrick Norton departure. Took a lot out of me, really hurt me, but it's okay. Everybody wants to go make their money, and that's completely understandable. But we have some guys who are some dogs, man. Joe Jackson coming off the edge, another 6.5 sack season. He had 7.5 as a freshman. He's ready to really turn that corner. And after he puts up 10 sacks, he might be a top 15 pick going into the NFL draft this year. Remember I said that. On the other side, we're going to have Demetrius Jackson is going to be in the rotation. He's also getting over an injury. But Jonathan Garvin is actually the penciled-in starter right now. So that's number 97 for those who are not Canes fans. Number 97, Jonathan Garvin. And number 99, Joe Jackson, are the two starting defensive ends for us. Both guys actually were on the pass rush package as freshmen. So they're pass rushers who have bulked up a little bit. Joe Jackson is even up to, he's 670 now. So he be able to stack against the run and rush the passer. Garvin is still pushing 255, 260, which is good because he's a pass rusher DN. We have guys like Scott Patchett, who anybody who watches me knows that is my unsung hero on the team. That's the guy who I'm pushing for. He's been injured twice. And I'm really, really pushing for him. He graduated this past spring. I'm really pushing for Scott Patchett to have a great season this year as a situational pass rusher. And Gregory Rousseau. Watch out for this guy is 6'7", 250 pounds. Like, how do they make kids like this, man? But he's a hard worker, man. He came in at 205 mark. 205, and he's put up over 45 pounds since he's been there. Hopefully we're doing some pretty good stuff in that weight room because he looks great. But he'll be on that NASCAR pass rush package, getting after the quarterback. And when he's been in since the spring, so he's had some time with the strength and conditioning, and they've done a really, really good job with him, getting him to turn that corner in the weight room and with the strength wise. Interior, man. Now this is personal to me. I played defensive line in college, so you got probably going to be the MVP of this team, Gerald Willis, number 9. This guy is going to be a monster. He's had 2 years off from football, had off the field issues when he was at the University of Florida, got here, turned the corner a little bit more, had some personal issues, and took a year off just to get everything handled so that he can just focus on football. And I personally can truly respect that a man decided not to have any off the field distractions and affect himself take a red shirt, be the scout team guy, help the first team offensive line, and now a year later is completely focused and prepared to dominate. I truly appreciate that. Starting next to him, Pat Bethel. He had 2.5 sacks last year. He had a strip sack against Duke. So Pat Bethel is a guy waiting to turn the corner. Also, Jonathan Garvin at 6'6", 285. Not Jonathan Garvin, Jonathan Ford. Watch out for Jonathan Ford, big 96. Another big guy. And everybody's favorite bully, Nestor Silvera, man. He's wearing number 1 at D tackle. He better be good wearing number 1 at D tackle. But he's one of the top 5 defensive tackles coming out of the 2018 recruiting class. Was a Nike opening, Nike All-American, all the Under Armour stuff, all the pre- and postseason accolades. This guy's ready to take off, man. So, yep, that's my in-depth on the offense and defensive line.
Did you people just check that out? Did you listen? I know you guys are talking it up, and I know that you guys are listening when the chat follows the guest. And when you're spitting out names, Wholesome One, they're spitting out names, and then they start to get into a little bit of a debate about whoever you're talking about. So we've talked a lot of wide receivers, and then over the last few minutes, obviously offensive line and defensive line, as he set us up with the two deep. That was beautiful. I may clip that off and memorize that, so I'm ready for LSU opening night in terms of what I'm watching. So you know the deal here with me, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I watch everybody, I cover everybody, so I can't go completely in depth like the Wholesome One did right there with Miami, because I've got my eyes on everyone and I'm trying to keep track of everyone. So this is why I've got guys that know their stuff like the Wholesome One come on here, because I want to know personnel breakdowns across the board so I can learn about not just the stars, because I already know the stars. I know the impact players. I know the 15 or 20 best players on Miami's team, but I want to keep going and learn about the two deep on both sides of the ball. It's good stuff. One name that came up over and over and over and over and over and over when we were back on we touched on wide receivers. And so this is a guy that I knew nothing about until the spring game, and you know where I'm going because he showed out in the spring game, and that's Brian Hightower.
Yes, sir. Big time Brian Hightower, man. Listen, Brian Hightower, this guy is going to be a monster. I'm a trash talker. I like talking smack on the field. I tell you about your mom and auntie and everybody else. This guy doesn't say a word and just bombs you, hands the ball to the referee, and walks back to the sideline. Those guys you hate because they know they're good. You know they have good morals, good ethics, and hard work, and they don't have to say a word to you. Their stats, their numbers, and their demeanor speaks for themselves. And a guy like Brian Hightower truly fits that mold. I mean, he wasn't even the highest ranked wide receiver that we had. But and according to all the spring practices, he wasn't even breaking off in spring. They were saying that he was, had a good day here, a bad day there, a good rep here, a bad rep there. But when they turned on the lights and the stadium had fans in it, he has a monster spring game. And just like any Canes fans, we love guys who show up on game day. Practice All-Americans, that's good. I'm glad that you're doing good on a Green Tree practice field. We like to hear that. Stories about how you were a great practice All-American. But if it doesn't translate to on the field, we could care less when the lights come on. So a guy like Brian Hightower, hey, man, keep turning on, keep showing up when those lights come on, man, and you'll be one of the Hurricane greats. Brian Hightower is a beast.
Well, what's good to know here in terms of being a Miami fan is when you've got a debate about who the best players are at the positions and the names just keep pumping out over and over and over and over. So they're talking wide receivers on the chat, and then there's been a debate about Mark Pope. There's been a debate about Mike Harley. Does Harley fit in the top 3? Where does he stand? How good is he? So can you address those two guys?
Of course.
Of course.
And Mark, and I really want people to understand this. It is an amazing feeling to have these type of debates, and they mean something now. When you come to the University of Miami now, regardless of you being a 4 or 5-star guy, regardless of you being the best out of Cali, the best out of, South Florida, Dade, Broward, when you come here, you actually have to work to play. I remember when guys would walk in and say, "Hey, my name's Philip Dorsett. I don't care anybody that's on this roster. I'm the number one guy." And guess what? He was the number one guy because he was a 5-star wide receiver. Now we actually having debates about guys that could be put field. They could play the X, they could play the Y, they could play the slot, they could play kick and punt return. Mark Pope is a speedster that has to just work on being consistent with his hands. This is coming from wide receiver Ron Dugans. A quote from earlier today. If you want to go check the facts, I'll make sure I watch and write everything down. So when I speak, it's actually factual. We also have Jeff Thomas. Let's not forget about Jeff Thomas, who's a dynamite waiting to happen on any play. Ahmad Richards, he is our modern day Stacey Coley, our modern day Philip Dorsett, our number one guy. But Mike Harley is number 3 for us. Also, for those who are not big Miami Hurricanes fans, Mike Harley is number 3. He played back up to Jeff Thomas in the slot. He also played a little bit out wide in a pinch when people got tired. But this is a smaller guy in stature. He's about 5'9", 5'10", around there. Maybe 5'11" is pushing it. But he's only like 170, 180, if that. But he is blocking his behind off on the field. Runs routes hard. He didn't get many receptions last year. But he is a guy that when he gets the ball can make almost anybody miss an open field. He knows where to be. He knows where to sit down in zones. He knows how to catch the football. Mike Harley's a guy I'm really rooting for. Somebody that no one's talking about is D. Wiggins, number 8. I don't even think you know who that is, Mark.
I don't. I know T. Higgins, but I don't know D. Wiggins.
Yeah. Yeah, D. Wiggins is a wide receiver from South Ridge, a 4-star wide receiver. He's a guy who may be listed as the red shirt because he's used to just being out. He just outperforms guys because of athleticism. So he has to work on actually running a route tree and things of that nature. But he's a guy to watch out for the next couple of years. Just keep that in the back of your mind. But, yeah, all of these guys bring something different to the table, whether they're a speedster, a great route runner, somebody with pure hands. But I'm glad that we have all of these guys on the roster so that we really develop some quality competition for who starts and who gets reps. And it forces all of these guys to take another step because they know they have to be perfect to be on the field, and they have to know how to block. Those are 2 things that I really like to see. Competition makes us all better in life, and I think we brought that to Green Tree Practice Field.
Hope you guys are taking this in. This is the Wholesome One breaking down, defensive line, offensive line, wide receivers just here in the last 5 to 10 minutes. And doing a great job for us here at MarkRogersTV, the voice of college football. So I see a number of names on the live stream that I've not seen before. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and comment. That drives the search engine and keeps us going so we can deliver the best content that we possibly can, which we think is the most insightful college football discussion, debate, and analysis anywhere. And we bring on the best bloggers, broadcasters, and writers that we can find, including Dwayne Holloway. He is the Wholesome One. Join him on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And I enjoy looking at the live chat. And I address the live chat, as you guys know, you old timers, you guys that are around each and every day and night. You guys know that I address the live chat as much as I possibly can and enjoy those comments as well. We are in the middle of schedule rankings. Next off season, Wholesome One, I'm going to do these schedule rankings a lot earlier because I know people just want personnel breakdowns, but I'm so tied to my schedule rankings. I can't get away from them. I do this every off season. I love breaking down the schedules and ranking them. So I've got a bit of a system, and I know I waited too long this time around. I shouldn't be doing these in August. This should be like a post-spring camp project for me, getting those schedules out there, but I just can't help myself. I've got to finish it off. Then we'll get you all the previews and predictions right after that on the Power Five as we get set toward Miami and LSU. And of course, those Thursday night games a few days before that. Northwestern Purdue would be the highlight of that Thursday night opener. So good stuff. Georgia, Miami, and Florida State tonight as we talk college football each and every day and night here at Mark Rogers TV. So again, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, even if you don't agree with me. It's content for the college football fan, for the serious, smart fan that's hardcore and loves the discussion and debate.
Most definitely.
Else, Dwayne, what do you think?
I also wanted to give you another shout out on what you said in the schedule breakdown. Something I never even thought about. You even go in depth as to talk about the strength of the division of the conference that you're in. Everyone knows that Miami is the most talented, has the best roster, at least on paper, which is what everyone talks about now because there's no actual, ball being played right now. And the fact that since we're so high to everyone else, it brings down our schedule ranking because we don't play ourselves.
Yep.
And I never thought about that. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. If we're not at Virginia Tech, if we're not, even though Boston College is in the Atlantic, but playing those two games away really helps the strength of our schedule. Because if we had those two games at home, then, where would be our hard game besides, with Texas, we're going to Texas to play LSU, but we have Tallahassee at home. There's no Notre Dame on our schedule this year. So if we had both Boston College and Virginia Tech at home, we might have been, down in the 60s or 70s with you on your ranking.
And also understand, everybody, I think people sometimes, not so much have I seen any comments this year, but sometimes they get a bit offended if they see their team's number 45 and they think they should be in the top 20. There are about 5 or 6 teams in the Power 5 that typically schedule awful. And maybe there's a combination between their non-conference scheduling being very weak, plus they just kind of lucked out with the rotational basis within the conference, and they get a light touch in the conference. And maybe for particular this year, they're in the Pac-12, therefore they're playing a weak conference. And so all those three things come together. And so there are about 6 or 8 teams that are really playing weak schedules. But once you get inside that top 50 to 52 to 55 range, it's a razor thin. Like I am matching up, like I'll take a Florida State schedule versus a Miami schedule, just for example. And obviously, much of those games are the same games. So we eliminate those. And I may take into consideration home and away, but basically you can eliminate 4 or 5 games right there. And then I'll just take the remaining schedules and look at those. And I'll rank the teams next to each other in terms of the games that are different between a Miami and a Virginia Tech. That may be a better example. And the games that are different, and I'll rank those teams and line them up against each other. But as the wholesome one is breaking down right there, what is key in these conference schedules is who you play in the other division. Because if you play in the ACC, you got a 14-team league. You only play 8 conference games. So you're missing 5 opponents. So that's enormous, who you play and who you don't play. So if you play in the Coastal Division, you know who you play in your division. And as the wholesome one breaks down, if you're North Carolina, you don't get to play North Carolina. You got to play Miami. And the only difference within the division between North Carolina's schedule and Miami's is Miami doesn't have to play themselves. They get to play North Carolina. Then in the other division, who do you play? And it's so imbalanced, especially in the ACC and the SEC, because you've got 8-game schedules in 14-team leagues, is, for example, there are some teams in the ACC who play 2 non-division games against 2 teams that went 4-12 combined in the ACC last year. Not so Florida State, not so Boston College, because their 2 non-division games outside the Atlantic are against Miami and Virginia Tech. Therefore, they played the 2 best teams in the other division from last year. We don't know how it's going to play out this year, but most likely the 2 best teams. So they have to play 2 teams that went 12-4 the year before in the division, and they're in direct competition for a division championship against 2 teams that that play a 4-12 non-division record. So it's not very fair, but it's one of the reasons I break down the schedule analysis and look at it that way.
Right. Yeah. And if you're a football junkie, things like that, somebody that could break it down like that to where anybody can understand, you truly appreciate and respect it, man. That's why you're the best part.
I appreciate it, Wholesome One. It hit me about this was back in LSU's heyday, right after they played Bama for the national title, in which that was one of the big debates in college football: who's better, LSU or Alabama at that point. And I looked at the next season's schedule. So again, you got two teams in the same division. They play each other, then they play the other 5 teams. So 6 of their 8 games are exactly the same. And I looked at Alabama's schedule, and at the time, it was Kentucky and Vanderbilt they played the next year. And they both went 1-7 in the SEC. So I'm looking at Alabama's schedule, and I'm saying, oh, the other 2 teams they're playing that aren't the same as LSU's schedule are 2-14. And LSU played Georgia and Florida, who both went 7-1 the year before. So they're taking on 2 teams that went 14-2. And I'm like, how fair is this? They've got the exact same schedule. There's only 2 differences. And Alabama gets 2 teams that went 2-14, and LSU gets 2 teams that went 14-2. And that got me to thinking about, okay, I want to rank these schedules.
Yeah, man. But they always run into that scheduling problem. I mean, they've kind of fixed things over the last 4 years or so with these big Jerry World games. I mean, we got them in 2020 at Jerry World. So, no, we have them actually in Atlanta in the SEC Championship, the Atlanta Dome. So we played them to start the season, and they've kind of done that to help their strength of schedule with these one big out of conference to start the season. So Alabama is doing a lot better with that.
So the last thing I'll say about that is, of course, there are rivalries that have to be played cross-division, and Miami's a prime example of that. They have to play Florida State each and every year. So I am not proposing to get rid of those cross-rivalry games. But I don't think they all need to be kept. Just do a 2-game rotation with the other team. So, yes, Miami and Florida State have to play. North Carolina and North Carolina State, they have to play. I don't care how good they are. They have to play. They're in-state rivals. That is a huge game within the state. Other than that, some people would claim Clemson and Georgia Tech, it's some old rivalry from like 1914 or something. I don't necessarily know that that's on too many people's radar. But other than that, we don't need these other rivalry games. The schedule could be more balanced if you would get rid of those other artificial rivalries. Virginia Tech and Boston College don't have to play every year. That's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. And Louisville and Virginia, they're not rivals. They don't have to play every year. Get rid of those games, keep the real rivalries, and let the other game, that would give more flexibility to the scheduling people that they could actually bring more equity to the schedule. Just my thought. Before we leave you, Wholesome One, somebody brought this up, and I think there's such attention given to maybe I've got 2 questions for you here, because there's such attention given to offense and defense that sometimes we leave out, and the head coach, of course, the head coach. But what about the coaching staff? Your feelings about the coaching staff currently for the Canes?
Yeah, I like it. You guys you like making me go in depth. I love it. Actually, I don't know if you remember this. Earlier this week, you did might have been last week. I think you did like where you do like open college football, like you just talk about. Because anytime you go live, I just watch it. I don't know. It could be you addressing anything that's going on.
And sometimes, Wholesome One, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about. I just hit the live button. I start rambling.
Right. Well, sometime last week you were talking about it was the Urban Meyer thing. Urban did a live, and we started going in depth about and you were just answering questions that was in the chat. I said, "Hey, Mark, would you mind talking about the importance of the assistant coaches on the staff?" Because I don't think that regular fans truly understand that just because you have a head coach, this guy has a big name, this guy is the face of our program, still needs the neck and the body in order to properly, work. And it has to be a great marriage between the three. If you're talking about the staff at the University of Miami, we have a unique approach to where we have our head coach is our play caller. To some people, they hate it. Other people, they're like, well, he won 9 games the first year. He won 10 games the second year. It's not that bad, you know? And everybody always talks about how their team could be so much better if they had this and they had that. And if Lane Kiffin was our offensive coordinator and Ray Lewis was our defensive coordinator and Jimmy Johnson came out of retirement, you know, we're past those days as a program. And we're truly happy to have Mark Richt as our coach. But as the head man, Mark Richt is building a program that is going to be sustainable. He brought in Paradise Camp. He's brought sustainability to our program by signing another extension earlier this summer to add a 2-year. So he signed through 2025. So that adds stability to the program, and recruits who are in middle school and, you know, their parents, those are things that they look at. You know, are you going to be here to coach my kid? He's a religious guy. I know some people may not be into that, and I respect that, truly understand it. But he may not know how to get over the hump as far as national championships, but he's sustained 10, 11 wins in the SEC. So him sustaining 11 to 12 in the ACC shouldn't be that hard in the next couple of years. So Mark Richt as the head man, great choice. Offensive coordinator by name, and Thomas Brown, young, fiery, great recruiter. Every running back on our roster right now, he was the head recruiter to bring those guys in. So he knows he's old enough to be mature, but young enough to relate to these guys and bring them in and say, I'm going to get after you every day in practice, but I promise you're going to thank me 2 or 3 years down the line when you run for 1,000 yards for us. You know, he gets after these kids. He cuss them out if he has to. But he makes sure they understand that you have to know your job to play. You got to block if you're a wide receiver. You got to know how to pass block if you're a running back. You got to know how to, read defenses as my quarterback. And you have to make plays. So I'm glad he's our offensive coordinator. On the defensive side of the ball, Manny Diaz, the godfather of the turnover chain, bringing the 4-2 attack, 4-3 attack defense back to the U is something that we as Canes fans couldn't wait for that 3-4 garbage to get out of here. Though the first year he was a lot more aggressive, played a lot more man coverage, and then the second year he got more into his zone. He was still aggressive, but he was, played a lot more zone. And it didn't help out in some circumstances, but he'll be a head coach within the next 2 to 3 years. And hopefully we get him a ring or two before he's out of here. But he has the mindset to be a head coach. He truly knows how to bring the guys together and how to recruit guys to fit that 4-3 attack. But now, we're switching to that 4-2-5 every now and again. So we'll have more athletes on the field. Wide receivers coach Ron Dugans. I mean, what can I say? He gave us trouble as a player when he was with Tallahassee, played 10 years in the NFL, comes to coaching, and he's a hard-nosed, get-after-it type of guy. No nonsense, no feeding you any nonsense as a recruit. You're going to come here and you're going to work. It's out for him. We're going to see what he's going to do. Who knows with that guy. But he has a job for a reason, and he was an offensive line coach at Georgia with Mark Richt also. So Mark trusts him. If you want me to go more in depth, I can go play position by position, Mark, if you want me to.
Why don't we do that another time?
Okay, yeah, I figured we were kind of pushing time.
Staff.
Yeah, I gave you the 3 main guys, the head coach, the offensive coordinator, and the defensive coordinator. So
I must be getting old because after a full day's work at my regular job, I'd come home and I'd get on here until like midnight. I get on here from like 6 to midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. But a few minutes after 10, I'm going to shut it down after about 3 hours plus. And wholesome the Wholesome One here has been doing work here for about 65 minutes of some great college football breakdown on Miami football. So love it.
No problem. No problem. Hey, I thank you for the platform. Us as the Canes family, we truly appreciate you. You've let us all in with open arms,
Absolutely, man.
Alonzo 1219 and Wood when he can come on. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, don't know how you found me, but I'm glad you did, and you were definitely highly recommended. And I'm glad we were able to track you down and get you on here as much as we do to talk up some Miami football and a ton of engagement on the line here. So I'm going to make my one last shameless plug for the channel here. First for Wholesome One, join him on YouTube at Wholesome One, and all his social media content there at Instagram and also at one more time on Twitter so we get the handle correct.
Oh yeah, on Twitter it's at Holloway HOLLOWAY _52. On Instagram, the great _Holloway, and on YouTube, the Wholesome One, HUM, the number one, Holloway, HOLLOWAY, representing the U family, baby. All day, every day.
All right, good stuff. BBD Will has obviously been paying attention to Mark Rogers TV as he's made a few comments about Ohio State on here. All right, Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. And again, I'm just making the request that you like, comment, and subscribe because we believe that we bring the very best in college football content on a daily basis. We talked to Florida State, Georgia, and Miami tonight. Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, we've got Briance Knowles talking Florida State football. At 8 o'clock, we got your guy. We got Zoe coming on here to talk Miami some more and also to give away our first prize here ever, courtesy Zoe. Alonzo 1219. It was kind enough to give up some of his swag, some of his hard-earned swag to promote and to supply the first ever Mark Rogers TV giveaway. So some swag for the viewer who got me the most subs between, I believe, June 15th and July 15th of this year. So we appreciate it, and we're getting you set for college football 2018 like nobody else. Wholesome One, we'll have to have you back on very soon, sir.
Of course, I'm an email away, man. School doesn't start till the 21st, so I'll be able to give you a preview whenever you're ready. I have it all written down, so I'm always open to talk.
Awesome. Love it. Appreciate you guys on the live chat. Very good stuff from everybody that I see on here. And again, we've got a mailing list starting up for week 1 of the college football season. Just write me at MarkRogersTV at Gmail. That's MarkRogersTV at Gmail. Leave your email address right there. I'm not going to abuse it. Obviously, it's an even trade-off. You're going to have my email address as well. And I'm going to get you on the mailing list with special content, perspective, picks, whatever it is that will bring you in channel updates starting with week 1 of the college football season. Right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We will see all of you very soon, actually tomorrow night, right here, 7 o'clock Eastern time with Florida State, then Miami, and who knows what else. And in the meantime, more schedule rankings out of me, and we will see the Wholesome One on YouTube channel as well.